The official release of Marvel Tōkon is only some weeks away, and exactly 10 days from the moment that I'm recording this video, we are going to get a special reveal for this title at San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm pretty confident that that reveal or announcement is actually going to be the Season 1 DLC for the game. So in this video, we're going to try to predict the entire lineup of characters that is going to make it into the Marvel Tōkon roster on year 1. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the Marvel Tōkon content or you want to support me, it helps me more than you think. And now, let's get into it. Just to clarify the overall rules and logic of the predictions, what we are going to do is that first I'm going to talk about individual characters that could make it into the game based on very famous themes in the Marvel franchise, and then in the second part of the video, we're going to talk about teams, like complete, rosters of teams that could be added into the game. We still don't know the format of the DLC, if it's going to be individual picks or full teams, so that's why there's going to be 2 sections for each one of those possibilities in this video. Tony over here looking kind of good, I'm not gonna lie, but let's actually start the predictions by talking about individual characters and specifically about the first theme that in my opinion has a really high chance of being part of the Season 1 DLC lineup, and it's going to be the Avengers. And there are 3 characters from the Avengers that have an extremely high chance of making it into the game, in my personal opinion. Number 1 is going to be Thor. I think that Thor is just the most likely DLC of Season 1. He's the only classic Avengers rep that is not in the game, and on top of that, I feel like a lot of people that are just fans of Marvel would buy Marvel Tōkon because Thor would become a playable character. Not even people that are really interested necessarily in fighting games, but actually just fans of Marvel, which is kind of like, the audience that you are on the lookout to make the overall sales of the game relatively big. So I think that Thor has a really high chance of being the first pick of Season 1. And then the other 2 characters are magic users, because I feel like both Wanda or Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange have an extremely high chance as well of making it into the Season 1 DLC. I think that even one of them and Thor could be part of Season 1, but we are only, gonna choose one of the 3 for the Avengers representative. But I do believe that any of the 3 has a really high chance. They're all very popular, super, beloved by Marvel fans and also fans of fighting games at the same time. And specifically, I believe that everybody would be happy with any of the 3, kind of. But I do think that Thor has the highest chance of being the Avengers representative of Season 1 for Marvel Tōkon. Then the second individual pick or theme that could make it into Season 1, in my opinion, is of course going to be the X-Men. And I feel like the X-Men are gonna get a representative in Season 1 for sure. And specifically, of course, in my opinion, the highest chance is gonna be for Cyclops. Cyclops has been added to so many Marvel video games, specifically this year, to Marvel Cosmic Invasion, also to Marvel Rivals, so why would they stop there when you can also add him into Marvel Tōkon as Season 1 DLC? Now, the thing about the X-Men though is that there are so many other picks that would be really cool and interesting, and at the same time, I feel like they would sell a lot as well, not only Cyclops. Like for example, Gambit could be added into the game and be very successful as DLC, also Nightcrawler, Rogue, maybe even someone like Emma Frost, and more, like Psylocke, right, Mystique. There are so many X-Men that could be a banger as Season 1 DLC, but I do feel like Cyclops is having his year in Marvel gaming in 2026, and I don't feel like it's gonna stop there. So I have a really, kind of like big feeling that Cyclops is gonna be Season 1 DLC for Marvel Tōkon as the X-Men representative. Now we move into the third individual pick or theme in the video, and it has to be, in my opinion, villains. I feel like everybody just loves the Marvel villains, and at the same time, Sony, arcsystemworks, and Marvel are very aware that if you add a villain into the roster as DLC, it will sell very well. It will be very successful financially speaking. So there's a lot of villains that they could add into the game that would be a big hit. For example, you can add Thanos, a very classic, extremely popular because of the MCU lately, right? And at the same time, just something that doesn't go wrong when it comes to putting him into any video game, in my opinion. Then also Ultron would be another amazing villain in the game with the aesthetic and, and visuals of this game in particular. Also, Ultron would look very cool. Then even you could add an X-Men villain and you take the X-Men rep of the Season 1 DLC with a villain instead of, Cyclops, for example, like we were talking before, and you put Mr. Sinister in the game, would also be very cool, or even Apocalypse. So there are so many characters that they could put in the game that would do very well as a villain, and I feel like it is a very safe pick that makes a ton of sense also because the game doesn't have that many villains right now in the roster, and Doctor Doom, which is the next big MCU villain, is already in the game. So you have a lot of freedom to add another Marvel villain that maybe deserves a spot but would be competing with Doom if he was not in the roster. So a lot of, like open-ended space to add a villain into the game, and I feel like any villain that is relatively known and just looks cool would sell extremely well. So for my third bet, I'm gonna say there's gonna be a villain in the Season 1 DLC, and I'm actually gonna put my bet on Thanos. I feel like Thanos is just so popular, so beloved, and at the same time, so perfect for any video game out there because he can have a very versatile playstyle overall because of the gauntlet and all the things that he does in the comics and in the movies, that Thanos has a very high chance of making it into the game. But now let's talk about pick number 4, or the next theme in the video, and it has to be the elephant in the room when it comes to Marvel Tōkon, and that is the Fantastic Four. They have been one of the most discussed DLC or even absence in the roster of this game, and I do feel like the Fantastic Four have a really high chance of being Season 1 DLC, but not as an entire team. I feel like what's gonna happen with the F4 is that either they're gonna be added one by one over time into the game every single season, or the other case is that it's gonna be the entire team as one character. What I would like to see actually would be tag team characters. For example, you add Johnny and also the Thing as one tag team character, and then Reed and Sue as another one, but I do feel like that is kind of like a dream. It's not really gonna happen, and it's either gonna be each one solo, every single season, or it's going to be like Ginyu in Dragon Ball FighterZ, like the entire Ginyu Force, and it's just gonna be Fantastic Four as one character that has the entire team. I don't know exactly what is going to be the case, but I do believe that there is a high chance that at least an F4 representative is going to be Season 1 DLC, but the entire team as the 4 characters of the season, I feel like it is almost impossible. And with all of those characters or themes, we technically can build the entire Season 1 lineup of DLC for Marvel Tōkon, but this guy behind me on the screen does not agree with me. And I have to say, there is a chance that there's gonna be one of those, themes that I've been talking about replaced by a street level hero, and specifically, I feel like there is a high chance that it's gonna be Daredevil. Daredevil is just like Blade or Carnage in this game. There have been people for decades asking for him to be a playable fighting game character, and I feel like arcsystemworks is aware of that, and they're maybe gonna put Daredevil as Season 1 DLC for the game. So you can maybe replace any of the other themes or characters that I've been talking about with this guy right now on the screen, and it could very easily happen. So I just wanted to mention it because I feel like Daredevil as an individual character has a really high chance of making it into the game on Season 1, but I don't know exactly who he would replace from my list. So maybe just take that decision yourself. And now we actually do have the entire Season 1 lineup of DLC for Marvel Tōkon if it is individual characters or picks. So Thor would be the Avengers representative of Season 1, then Cyclops would go as the X-Men character for the season, then the villain I still don't feel that secure about which character it could be, but I'm gonna give the spot to Thanos because I believe that he has a really high chance of being in this game, and then for the last team, it would be one of the Fantastic Four, any to be honest, except for Mr. Fantastic because of all the overlap in terms of gameplay that he has with Ms. Marvel. And then the 5th character would be Daredevil, that essentially has that power to replace any of the other 4, depending on what arcsystemworks want to do with the Season 1 DLC. These are gonna be my themes or picks if the characters in the Season 1 DLC lineup are individual characters and not thematic teams. But now let's actually discuss relatively quickly what could happen if the DLC of the game is full teams that are thematic, just like it is the case for the base roster. The reason why I left this part for the end of the video is because I do feel like it is less likely than just individual popular picks, but it could still be the case, so we're gonna talk about it. And the first team for me has to be a cosmic team, maybe like a Cosmic Warriors team in the DLC for Season 1. And this allows you to still have, a character like Thor, or even better, Bill in the game. You can still put Thanos also in Season 1, and then, for example, add somebody like Silver Surfer, which is also a very popular character, and a lot of people would be happy if Silver Surfer is in the game. And then the 4th pick, there's actually a lot of options if it is a cosmic team. It could be Captain Marvel, could be Groot or Rocket Raccoon or any of the Guardians. It could also be like Adam Warlock, for example. There's so much, even Null could make it into the game. So if there's gonna be one theme that could be, you know, Season 1 DLC for me, it has to be Cosmic. That would be my first option if this is gonna be the format of the DLC. Then other themes that I would consider if the DLC lineup ends up being full teams is, for example, the X-Men. They could sell very well, they are very popular, and you can very easily make a cool X-Men team for Season 1. Like for example, you put Cyclops that we've been talking about before, you also put Gambit in the game, you put Psylocke or Emma Frost or Rogue, you can also put a villain like Apocalypse or Mr. Sinister, so you can have, you know, a year 1 X-Men DLC lineup that is still very cool. Then another team that I would also consider has to be the Fantastic Four. If we are going to accept that the entire season of each one of the years for this game is going to be thematic based and entire teams, then the Fantastic Four are gonna make it at some point, so we still have to consider them even if it is very homogeneous like the other still teams that we're talking about. And then the final one that I have in mind is the Midnight Suns, because even though Blade and also Ghost Rider are on the game, their team is not the Midnight Suns, and you still have characters from there that are very popular like Doctor Strange, Iron Fist, Moon Knight, and more. So there is a lot of things that you can do if you also make a Season 1 DLC that is Midnight Suns teams. Those are kind of like the ideas that I have in mind, but let me know in the comments if the game actually gets full teams for Season 1 DLC, which lineups you would like to see in the game. Hey guys, this is me from the future. While I was editing the video, I realized that there's a couple of teams that I didn't mention, that if the format of the DLC is going to be full teams, they have a really high chance of making it as well, and I'm gonna talk about them really quickly. So the first one is gonna be Avengers. At the end of the day, if they're gonna make, you know, full teams of thematic DLC, there is gonna be an Avengers season, and you can put Thor there, Scarlet Witch, or Doctor Strange. Those are kind of like interchangeable, at least in terms, you know, their powers. Then you could also put Daredevil there. He has been an Avenger before. And then the last spot is just very like variable. You can put, for example, Wasp if you want something different that is very unique and could add a lot to the roster. You can put, I don't know, Hawkeye, right, Black Widow. There is a lot of Avengers characters that you can add into a full Avengers team. So that is one, you know, of the teams that I didn't mention in the other part of the video that I feel deserves to be talked about. Another one that could still happen also is a street level heroes team. You know, what about an entire season in which it is Daredevil, Moon Knight, then for example the Punisher, and the last spot also could be so many different characters. Another one could be Spider-Man characters, and that's it. For example, you put Miles in the game, Venom, Doc Ock, and then, I don't know, Black Cat or Spider-Gwen. They are very popular characters, but like I said before, I really feel like the format of the DLC is going to be individual picks and not full teams. I feel like it's gonna be, you know, characters one by one that over the years transform into full teams, or even DLC that is, you know, one character that is actually added to the teams that the game already has. So I just wanted to mention, you know, a couple of more teams in this part of the video, because I feel like I rushed, you know, that part a little bit. And it could still, you know, be a lot of teams that deserve to make it if that is going to be the format. So those are another options that I was thinking about. But that was the video, guys, the Season 1 predictions for Marvel Tōkon and the DLC that the game is going to get. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my picks or you would like to see something different. And of course, like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. It helps me a ton, more than you think. Thank you for watching, and maybe check out this video that is going to appear right now on the screen, in which we discuss how good the base roster of Marvel Tōkon actually is. See you there.